Hello, you lovely listeners, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Royals Rundown Podcast, presented by Royals Review. I am Jacob Milham, your lovely co-host. And the other half, that guy over there, Jeremy Greco, the one and only. I adore him. Jeremy, how are you feeling, man?
One of these days, you're going to call me your better half, and I'm going to be really concerned. I'm going to have to call Honey and be like, it happened. Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't choose this.
You'll have to defend yourself. Yeah, no, if she overhears that, that might be a bad day for me. I will say that. All right, before we get on into it, if you are not checking out royalsreview.com, you are doing yourself a great disservice. You are missing out on some of the premier Kansas City Royals news, analysis, and commentary out there.
Max had one of the best articles I have read about analytics in a long time yesterday, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But it was so good, it got name dropped by Jake Eisenberg on last night's broadcast.
Whoop whoop! We love that. We love that. Hey, congrats to Max on that. I know it might seem silly to the listeners out there, but hearing that sometimes is all you need just to keep going. Yep. And to keep believing in what you are doing and knowing you're doing something right.
At the end of my first year of writing for Royals Review, right before 2017, I wrote about people said that the Royals had bad injury luck in 2016. And so I did some research on it, found that no, they actually hadn't had that many guys hurt compared to a lot of teams that had gone to the playoffs or won their division. And I wrote about that, and Craig Calcaterra, national writer, still has his newsletter. He was writing for, I think, NBC at the time, and linked to it and said, "Oh, look, he said basically what I said." And people said the Royals were injured last year, but that maybe doesn't hold as much water as you think it does. So that kept me going for a while.
Interesting. I bet it did. Hey, before I forget about it, Jeremy, because we're kind of going off the cuff today. It is a Wednesday afternoon. Want to get this in before the Kansas City Royals play this evening. I gotta give a round of applause to the Omaha Storm Chasers, of all people, who ruined Paul Skeens' perfect ERA. I know, right? And Paul Skeens, for all y'all who don't know, Pittsburgh Pirates minor leaguer, AAA, absolutely electric arm.
Probably already better than 90% of the MLB pitchers. I don't know why he's still in Omaha, or not in Omaha, whatever the Pittsburgh AAA is.
I hate to say it. I think he's just there for service time manipulation. I truthfully think so.
But he could win Rookie of the Year so easy, and then they would get everything back, and they actually lose the service time manipulation if he does.
Oh, that's true. That's a great point, especially with like Jordan Walker. Mm-hmm. I know he was a Rookie of the Year favorite in the NL, and they just sent him down with the Cardinals. So maybe there's still a lot of season ahead, Jeremy.
I thought Jordan Walker broke his rookie eligibility last year.
Am I mixing him up with someone else? Go ahead and look that up real quick while I talk about Skeens, because he heading into this game against the Omaha Storm Chasers, he had a perfect zeros across the board with the ERA, but the Storm Chasers tagged him for 5 runs and 1 earned run today, bringing his season ERA to .53.
1 earned run, baby. Hey, the Royals had 0 earned runs yesterday.
Yeah, that's true.
And they won. Jordan Walker played 117 games last year. He is not Rookie of the Year eligible.
Okay, who the hell am I thinking of? I don't know. I am sorry.
He's playing awful, so I wouldn't doubt that he's getting demoted.
Yeah, he not turning out to be the player that
he did get demoted. He got optioned to Memphis on Wednesday.
There you go. We won't talk about the 7 strikeouts and 4 1/3 that Skeens got from the Storm Chasers, but we'll talk about that one run.
Reagan struck out 4 in 1 2/3 the other day, and it
pretty good.
Didn't matter that much.
No, I wonder why. I wonder why that happened. It's so silly, so weird. But all right, listen, let's go ahead and get right into it, so I could stop with the high pitched voices and things like that. As we're recording the, what'd you say?
That's my thing.
Oh, fair. I will leave that to you, Jeremy. My apologies.
Appreciate you.
As we're recording this, the Royals are at the middle point of a 4-game series against the Toronto Blue Jays. And like Jeremy talked about And I alluded to on the Royals recap last night, sometimes it is better to be lucky than to be good, because the Royals were pretty lucky last night, Jeremy, and people are not too happy with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. after that one play. It just happens, right?
It happens to everybody.
It does.
You cannot, like, I will go ahead and throw out there that I was very surprised he was the cover athlete this year. I thought they had a lot of better options. Bobby Witt Jr., Julio Rodriguez, Ronald Acuna Jr. But it's not like he was undeserving. He is a very good hitter, a very good player. He almost won the Triple Crown a couple of years ago. Yep. And yeah, he's not great with the glove. Something funky happened though, because it wasn't like a weird throw and he just missed it. So yeah, it's one of those human things that happens.
It does. To err is to be human. And listen, the Royals just capitalized on it. Like that was the perfect example of situational hitting, if you want one.
And if we looked at it the other way, and I was a Blue Jays fan, I'd be like, well, score more runs. You scored 2 runs in this game. That's not enough. What are you doing? Score more runs. You had the leadoff hitter on base in the first 5 innings. Score more runs.
That was pretty rough for Milwaukee last night. Yeah. I will say that was starting every inning in a hole is not going to be winning baseball, but the Royals pulled it out, even up the series. That's all that matters. Let's go ahead and talk about one guy who has been kind of an underrated key, if you will, for the Royals winning yesterday. Maikel Garcia, he had a 2-hit effort yesterday, 1 walk. He had a double, if I recall correctly, yesterday as well. He is, I'm not saying that Jeremy, you have the numbers that actually say he's kind of setting baseball on fire right now in his last 5 games.
The last 5 games is tiny sample size, but it does coincide with Friday night when he broke his hitless streak with a little ground ball to right field. And I tweeted, this was actually MJ Melendez had a similar kind of weak ground ball to right field. And I said, I wonder if those guys kind of broke out now. I think that's the kind of hit that you snap a long bad streak like that. You get kind of a dribbler for a hit and you go, okay, I don't have to press so hard anymore. And you come out of your slump hot. And MJ Melendez did hit a home run later in that game, but he kind of slowed back down after that. Maikel Garcia, on the other hand, over the next 4 games, has 5 hits in 17 at bats. If I'm counting this right, a double, a home run. There it was not a double last night. It was just 2 singles. Double, a home run. He's got a 149 WRC plus over his last 5 games, batting, slashing 300, 364, 500, 864. With a 294 BABIP, and he's walking as much as he's striking out. So it's a tiny 5-game sample size, but it does seem like he is back on the path to being the hot hitter I was hoping he would be. And we won't talk about MJ Melendez. We'll just talk about how I was right about Maikel Garcia.
Of course. Hey, listen, that is, I get it. We talk about sample sizes a lot on here, but at least that is a trending thing. I'm not saying that Maikel Garcia is back. I'm not saying that I'm still 1,000% confident with him being the leadoff man, but at least he is doing some things right. And he continued doing them against the Blue Jays last night. So that has to count for something. We'll see if he can continue it in Kauffman Stadium and beyond. Let's, Jeremy, there's another thing that you said you wanted to talk about today, and that is the starting pitching, which we talked about on the last episode, that even despite a few rough starts, not perfect, not absolutely like nuclear implosion starts, but just rough and not setting up the Royals for success. Even after all that, the Royals still unequivocally have a top 5 rotation in baseball and one of the AL's best. But Jeremy, you were saying that there are some other reasons that you still believe that to be the case.
So the rotation stats are kind of wonky now. They were looking real good early on, obviously, but they're kind of a little wonky now. There's reason to think that amazing things are happening and reason to think that this could get bad quick. So one thing that seems like it could get bad quick is that Cole Reagans is the only one striking out more than a batter per inning. which is kind of my bar for a starting pitcher. I want you striking
Mhm.
at least 9 batters per 9. But also the K to strikeout ratio matters, and that is pretty good across the board. The worst one there is Seth Lugo, who's got a 2 K to BB ratio, but he's only striking out 4 batters per 9. It's very, very low strikeout rate. But also,
Yeah.
nobody but Brady Singer is giving up home runs. And if you're not giving up home runs,
Mhm.
you're probably feeling pretty good. But then if you look at Brady Singer's velocity, it's down to 91.9. He has the worst fastball velocity, average velocity in the rotation, and that speed is not going to play with his arsenal. He needs to get that back up. But then I'm just back and forth and back and forth. The left on base percentage for Cole Reagans has been kind of on the low side. He's down to only 71%. He's got a terrible, what's it called, batting average. Balls in play, a BABIP, that's what they call that.
Yep.
And it's over 400. But he's also giving up a lot of hard hit balls when he's not striking guys out. So it's just what's happening there. And then you look at Waka, Marsh, and Lugo, and they're actually getting fairly strong weak contact. So there's a lot going on in this rotation. The one thing I will say is that the ERAs are all sparkling. The FIPS are all sparkling. The worst FIP in the rotation right now is Brady Singer at 4.25. If that is your worst starter, you're okay. You take
Yes.
that. And Cole Reagans is sitting there with a 2 FIP. 2.
That's absolutely disgusting. If I recall correctly, I think that's tied for the best in AL right now.
He had a negative FIP in the 7-run game because he didn't walk anybody and he didn't give up any home runs. And that's what FIP cares about. FIP says that they hit the ball, you don't know what's going to happen. So if you strike them out, you don't walk them, and you don't give up home runs, you're doing okay. Mm-hmm. And he gave up a lot of hits. And this is probably my biggest area of concern right now, is that the Royals are not walking guys. They're holding the walks down. They're not giving up home runs, the rotation specifically, but they are giving up a lot of hits.
They are.
So the question is, are they unlucky for the past few days, giving up a lot of hits, or are their pitches not good enough to finish guys off? And they're giving up a lot of hits, a lot of foul balls, especially in that Baltimore series we talked about, and then a lot of hits. And I thought, okay, well, that's Baltimore. Baltimore doesn't strike out a lot. They're going to foul balls off. They're going to get their hits. But now it's happening with Toronto too.
Yeah.
And is Toronto the same way? Toronto's offense was kind of mediocre coming into this series, and they looked really pretty good on Monday night. Not so good last night. So nope. I don't know what's going on. But anybody who tells you that the rotation is awful, they have a thing. They have a problem with the team, and you can't do anything about that. The rotation is not awful. That's where we're at. The worst WAR, FWAR is Brady Singer at 0.2. Cole Reagans is already almost up to 1. Now, those numbers are not fantastic. You could get higher than that, even this early in the season, but that's all workable. So we've got some more learning to do here to figure out, is this rotation more like the first 2 or 3 times through where they just kept getting guys out, or more like the last time or 2 through where, man, they're still not walking anybody, they're still not giving up home runs, but they give up a lot of hits.
And that's something that we have seen come back to bite the starters in the past couple of games. I think of Michael Wacha, and he had another high hit game last night.
Yeah. He
didn't allow a ton of runs. I think the 2 runs were charged to him in the end, but that you're always going to be playing with fire if you allow hits.
Yeah.
As often as the starters do. And I do have 2 rebuttals to this. So first off, I think the amount of hits is going to be a side effect of this reining the zone approach.
Sure. Okay.
But it's only a side effect if there isn't a true get out pitch. Like Michael Wacha was having a little bit, it seemed like it, a little bit of trouble locating the changeup yesterday. And when that get out pitch isn't on, then the Blue Jays were fouling off more balls. They were getting more hits, getting his pitch count up, and decreasing the margin for error. That's what we saw there a little bit. So I think this is going to be something that isn't sustainable across a 162 game season. I don't think so. I don't think that we can have our starters go out and every time through the rotation, there's 3 quality starts at least, but in each quality start, they gave up 6+ hits. I don't think that's going to last.
As in, you think it's going to get better or worse?
I think it's going to get worse.
Okay.
I do. One number that I do want to talk about that being is there is a large, or not a large disparity. There is a noticeable disparity between the Royals' ERA and their FIP. And, sometimes we talk about it's better to be lucky than to be good. Right now, their ERA is sitting at 3.18 as a rotation. The FIP is 3.38. Now, that's not the largest difference.
I would actually point out that 3 of the starters are underperforming their FIP.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Cole Reagans has a 4.32 ERA, a 2 FIP. Michael Wacha has a 3.81 ERA, a 3.37 FIP. Alec Marsh has a 3.22 ERA and a 3.11 FIP.
How much are those other 2?
Brady Singer he's a 2.76 ERA with a 4.25 FIP. And his batted ball luck, that I talked about how Cole Reagans had a 414 BABIP, not good. Brady Singer has a 194 BABIP. That doesn't seem sustainable. I will admit to being pretty concerned about Brady Singer between the drop in velocity, between the batted ball luck, and the lack of repertoire. I think that Michael Wacha and Seth Lugo as veterans are going to find a way to work around things. I think Cole Reagans is an ace with ace stuff. And I think Alec Marsh has a lot of stuff, and he can usually find one pitch that's working and work off of that to at least minimize the damage. But Brady Singer is extremely concerning to me. At this point, I don't see how he's going to be able to stay in the rotation for the whole year if this team is going to be competitive. At some point, it's going to fall apart for him. I think you're absolutely right about that. So that's absolutely an area of concern.
There is... while we're tossing out numbers, I also wanted to look at their expected FIP, which is taking FIP one step further and looking at the expected stats of it. Right now, they currently sit at 16th in MLB with a 3.84 expected FIP as a rotation. There is some luck to be had. I'm not saying it's an obscene amount of luck, but it is there. The BABIP sitting at 289, which is 12th in the league. So you're just slightly better than league average there. And some of that is going to be, you have a good defense behind you.
Very good defense.
Yeah, and we saw that time and time again. Was that?
At least on the infield. The
outfield
is still a little questionable.
Listen,
Melendez, I have to give him credit. He has looked so much better in left field.
Yes.
This year than last year. I did not think it was possible for him to look that much better. So credit to MJ Melendez, credit to the coaching staff for how much better he looks this year. And Hunter Renfroe doesn't look as bad as I thought he would either.
And that arm has shown up when it really needs to, when it needs to shine. We are a far cry away from having Edward Olivares and Hunter Dozier at the corners right now. So like I said, it's not perfect, but I am thoroughly believing it is better, at least right now. Now, going back to the strikeout stuff, because you talked about that. As a rotation, they're currently sitting 25th in MLB with a 7.68 strikeout over 9. And that's not good. Okay. Good team. You don't see a whole lot of good teams at the bottom of that list. You see guys like St. Louis. You see Oakland. My rebuttal to that is the strikeout movement is kind of hitting the pendulum peak, if you will. I think it is. We're seeing these stories of pitchers chasing strikeouts, and it's affecting their bodies, it's affecting their approach and things like that. But I think it's also affected the fan mindset. Like a pitcher is not valuable unless he has strikeouts. That is something that I have fallen prey to in the past, and I think other people are falling prey to. The Royals rotation, as we've proven, or as we've talked about, is still very valuable, still very productive. They just don't get as they're not strikeout proficient.
I guess my thing is that there's a reason pitchers are chasing strikeouts and a reason fans prefer them. And I mean, again, back to FIP. FIP says once that ball's in play, you got no idea what it's going to do. They might hit it weak, but they might put it where they ain't. So if you strike a guy out, that's an out every time, or at least 99.99999% of the time, as long as you don't drop the strike and fail to throw him out. And these days, they don't even run to first half the time. They just are like, well, I struck out, and then walk back to their dugout. They're called out for leaving the baseline. I am concerned about the strikeouts to a degree. See, one of the things is you're grouping all the starting pitchers together.
Yeah.
Which is giving you some kind of weird numbers. If I'm looking at this, like Seth Lugo was awful down there at 4.06 strikeouts per nine. He also has the most innings pitched, 31 innings pitched. No starter has pitched as many as him in the Royals rotation. So he's leaning that average down. Alec Marsh is the next worst at 6, significantly higher. Still not where I want it to be, but significantly higher. Also, Alec Marsh showed us the strikeout stuff last year. Yeah. He showed us that strikeout stuff. It's there. And he showed it earlier this year. It just hasn't happened the last few starts. I think it still is in there. I think we'll see it anytime now. Seth Lugo has never been a strikeout guy, though. I don't think he's been this bad. I'm pulling up his numbers again. Actually, I'm wrong. When he was in the bullpen, he was a strikeout guy. But even last year, he was striking out 8.61 per nine. So maybe his strikeouts will come back too. If they do, then I think we're okay. But I do think strikeouts are valuable. I do think that if the strikeout rate is down for this team, it's going to become a problem eventually.
Okay. All right. It is. We'll see what happens on either side of it. I am swinging this way on the strikeouts because I do think that it's something that is going to have a big impact on baseball. Years down the road, this folks chasing strikeouts in the late 90s and early 2000s got us to where we are right now and got us away from the traditional workhorse pitchers that MLB is apparently going to try to institutionalize and force teams to look at bringing back, talking about limiting the number of pitchers a team can have to 12 next season. Is that rumor that I'm talking about?
I just don't see how you can do that. Here's the thing. You call it chasing strikeouts. I call it chasing stuff, which leads to strikeouts. And hitters are bigger and stronger than they were 30 years ago. So you got to have better stuff to get by them. Otherwise, they're going to crush you. That's why these guys are doing that. So there's a little bit of a chicken and egg situation here of are they chasing strikeouts? Or do they need the strikeouts? But I do think the pitcher injuries come. I think I was reading some about this and some from James Andrews, the noted surgeon who retired in January that we talked about a little while ago. He seems to think that the issue is the way the pitchers are handled in high school, is that these guys are throwing 90s to 100 in high school and their bodies aren't finished developing yet, and that is problematic for them and causes long-term damage. And so what the fix may need to be is figuring out how to restrict that at the amateur level. Okay. And then let guys try to build up. But then, but if I do this, then I'm a prospect and I get millions of dollars coming out of high school and I don't even have to go to college. And you can get injured even not throwing 100 miles an hour. And if I threw 100 miles an hour in high school, I could have gotten paid before I got hurt. So I don't know what the answers are. I don't know what they're going to have to do. I think it's an important question to ask for sure. But definitely, I absolutely agree that chasing stuff, again, I think more than strikeouts, because even if you're not chasing strikeouts, you got to throw 100 if you want to get weak contact. You got to throw a big, nasty breaking pitch if you want to get weak contact. Because if you throw some kind of looping curveball, they're going to hammer it. Ask Zach Greinke. So it's just, I don't know, man. It is a little scary though.
So last point on this, talking about stuff, that is something that is available on Fangraphs. There's Stuff Plus, Location Plus, and Pitching Plus stats. There is a big drop off from Cole Reagans, who you talked about having ace stuff earlier on in the podcast. He absolutely does, sitting at 112 there. Next best guy, Stuff Plus, is 97. All right, and that is Seth Lugo. So 100 is like you want to be above 100. You don't want to be
to the
below
league average.
Yeah, you don't want to be below it. And every other starting pitcher for the Royals is below league average, according to Stuff.
What's Alec Marsh's Stuff Plus? I'm having trouble finding it right now.
His Stuff Plus is 96.
All right, so 97, 96, that's still pretty close to average.
Yeah.
So I'm not too concerned about that. Now, what about Brady Singer?
That's where you drop off. You have Michael Wacha sitting at 86.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah, then you have Brady Singer sitting down there at 85. So
yeah.
a whole
that concerns me when you get that low. If you're at least close to average, because not by nature when you set an average like that, some guys are going to be below average, and some guys are going to succeed even with a below average Stuff Plus. Ask Jamie Moyer. But just Brady Singer and Michael Wacha are not guys that are going to succeed without the Stuff Plus. Especially Brady Singer. Again, at least Michael Wacha is a savvy veteran at this point. He kind of knows what he's doing, and I think we've seen that in how he's been able to limit the damage even when he's not pitched well. Brady Singer, this is my prediction. He is going to be in the bullpen by the All-Star break.
Ooh, man. Well,
I don't know who's going to be in the rotation. I don't know whether they're going to be competing. He's going to be in the bullpen.
That would be really
because there are too many danger signs. If he's not in the bullpen, he's on the injured list, probably getting surgery of some sort.
Probably needs it, or we need to figure out what's going on with his conditioning, because he's just fading fast into starts.
I mean, his velocity was down last year. That was a big part of his problem last year.
Yeah, last year. But even right now, he's still notably below his 2022 marks.
Exactly.
For velocity.
Exactly. I mean, it's not getting better. The thought was, oh, well, he'll have a whole spring training this year. Actually, his velocity, it looks like, was down. If I'm looking at this correctly, it looks like his velocity wasn't great in 2022 either.
Really? I thought
he had a 92.4 fastball in 20. That was his best season. And then it was 92.5 last year. So I guess it wasn't down last year. And now it's down to 91.9. But he's only 27. His velocity should not be going down like this already. And his velocity was not where it needed to be, as we're talking about chasing stuff. You know, it's not where it needed to be for him to be successful right now. So I don't know, man.
I do think the ironic part is that, according to Fangraphs, his most valuable pitch, according to Stuff Plus, is his changeup. currently sitting at 111.
That's funny.
And to further prove your point about Michael Wacha, he does lead all the Royal starters in Location Plus.
There you go.
With 102. So he is balancing that out to
that's
be
how you can work around that, a little bit.
Yeah.
What's pretty Singer Location Plus, just for comparison?
It's 99.
Oh, okay. That's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Everyone's
probably what explains how he's not gotten in any trouble yet, but I don't trust that.
Well, unfortunately,
I trust it for Wacha for some reason, but not for Brady.
Okay. Well, no, that's we have a longer track record from Michael Wacha of being what he is right now. I'm not saying he's a top of the rotation guy. I'm not saying he's an amazing pitcher, but he is a good pitcher who has value. That's why he's still pitching in Major League Baseball. Now, just don't get mad when Jordan Lyles comes out and joins the rotation and Brady Singer goes and takes his spot in the bullpen.
Wasn't there was a starter in AAA who was doing pretty good, wasn't there? Bolin. Bolin's pitching pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe he's already on the 40, man. Maybe he's the guy. Maybe he figured something out this offseason. Maybe the coaching staff unlocked something for him. Fingers crossed.
Like Daniel,
because Singer's not going to make the whole year in this rotation. It's not going to happen.
Not at this pace, at least. Daniel Lynch isn't going to come saving them from minor leagues. He is not. I cannot stress, he is not looking good for the Storm Chasers.
There's a couple guys in Double-A that look good too. Mason Barnett and one other guy I cannot remember.
Noah Cameron.
Noah Cameron, who is on the top 30 prospects.
Yes.
So Double A is a little far away, but you could promote them to Triple A next month and have them maybe ready if they have a really successful Triple A. Maybe they're ready in August.
Yeah, maybe so. That is, I'm blanking on which pitcher did that last year. Started off the year in Double A and then ended up making his major league debut. It has been done. It is not impossible. Now let's start talking about Frank Mazzucato and his 88-mile-an-hour fastball.
No, I don't want to touch that one. Thanks.
Thanks, bye. All right, let's go ahead and get to the contact play article. Which kudos again to Max on that. It was a very digestible way to put the contact play, and I think that was the
completely turned me around
feeling.
on the subject.
Yeah, but well, I want to hear from you first.
Oh, you want to hear from me first?
I do.
You sure you don't want to go first?
I'm going to say this.
I'm gonna blow you up. You're not going to get a chance. Okay. You let me go first.
All right. I will say this. One, optically, contact play isn't supported right now. I'm not optically, talking.
All right. Yeah.
Yep. Optically, not from a hey, this is like these are the numbers, things like that. As a fan watching it doesn't look very good. But even I think, according to the numbers, how often the Royals have failed at it is not going to make up for like the next time that it does work. So right now they're currently sitting at 0-6 on the contact play, and if I recall correctly, the value of losing that runner is like,
yeah, it's like you're 12% less likely to score runs, something like that.
Yeah. And so now you times that by 6, you're currently sitting at 72 some odd percent. Right? Now we're getting close to okay, is it worth sending them all the time, no matter what, no matter who the runner is? I just think the Royals need to be more judicious with when and who does the contact play. I'm tired of seeing Adam Frazier and Salvador Perez trying to make the play. I would much rather at least have an average runner.
Adam Frazier's average.
Adam Frazier is just like the most marginally below average player that I can think of in MLB right now.
I would not run the contact play with Salvador Perez ever. Don't do that.
I never
not me either.
Don't do it again.
Anyone else, I will let you try it.
Okay. All right, Jeremy. Please blow me up. Make me look stupid.
All right. So here's my comment from the article. Just for fun, I looked up what happened in the games that the Royals have had this year with the failed contact play. So in the first one, they followed up with a single and a double, and the run scored anyway. In the next one, Renfroe struck out. Runner would not have scored regardless. And then in the next one, Isbell flew out. Runner would not have scored regardless. In the next one, a single and a home run. The run scored anyway. And then in the last one before last night, Blanco struck out, so the runner wouldn't have scored anyway. And then last night, we had Guerrero's error, and that allowed the runner to score anyway. In other words, the Royals are 0 for 6 when it comes to the contact play, but they're 6 for 6 in the contact play not changing the outcome at all.
Okay. All right.
Did not make anything worse. Here's the thing. If the contact play fails, and this is what this 12% represents, if the contact play fails, A, you should get in a rundown, which is what happened last night with Adam Frazier. He did it right. If the contact play fails, you need to get in a rundown because the runner needs to get in scoring position. There is almost no difference between a runner at 3rd and 2 out and a runner at 2nd and 2 out because the only difference is a wild pitch scores you from 3rd. That's it.
Okay.
And the only likely outcome where a runner from 3rd scores and a runner from 1st does not is on a single. That's it. Pretty much every other likely outcome is the runner at 1st is going to score or nobody was ever going to score. And that's what we're seeing play out. So yeah, it looks bad. Yeah, it's frustrating. I get it. I was frustrated. I'm like, why do they keep doing this? And Max even admits, he said his wild ass guess was that it was about a 10% success rate on the contact play. It's not a high percentage play. You expect it's going to fail. You're not doing this because you think it's going to succeed. You're doing this because it doesn't matter if it doesn't. What happens is if it doesn't work out, well, you've got 2 outs. You probably aren't going to score the run anyway. So that's the thing. And I think that's the problem is that we're looking at it from the wrong perspective of like, well, if you're running this play, it should work. But that's not the logic behind the play. The logic behind the play is if the play doesn't work, you haven't lost anything. And if the play and what you have done by forcing them to throw home is you've put pressure on the defense. Because if you don't try to go home, well, it's a routine throw to first. And yeah, you're at third, but the next play is still a routine throw to first. No pressure on the defense. You go home, that's pressure on the defense. Do I go home or do I go to first? Oh no, I freaked out and I accidentally threw it away. They're far more likely to commit an error on that throw home because it's not a normal play for them. Throwing to first, they do all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and my final point is that if you have a problem with the contact play, you know how you get rid of the contact play? Hit it out of the dang infield.
Yeah.
Then the contact play does not matter.
Nope. And you're still you're scoring that run. You're getting base runners on. And you're going to keep the line moving. That's all you have to do.
Yep.
I think until it works.
Boom, I sunk your battleship.
Yes. I still think that despite the numbers, until it works, I'm not going to like it.
You don't have to like it. I get it. It's not fun to watch the runner get cut down at home all the time. It's like, why? But again, you're not losing anything. I promise you're not. It feels like you are, but you're not.
All right.
Now that's, again, what Max wrote in the article, and this is something ahead and consider. This is why you do not run it with no outs. Do not run it with no outs.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense.
If you've got because then what you've done is you've exchanged a runner at third who could still score on an out on a fly ball for a runner at first.
Oh,
you
yeah.
have to get around the diamond again.
Okay, that's a good point. That is a very good point.
And Matt Quatrero, according to Max's article, Matt Quatrero gave an interview where he explained some of this stuff. So Matt Quatrero is very aware of the numbers involved, which makes me very happy. My manager knows some numbers, and he can share them with me and change my mind about things.
Are we surprised coming from the Tampa Bay Rays organization?
No, absolutely. I'm surprised only in that I got used to Mike Matheny and Ned Yost. And listen, I am a big Ned Yost fan. I love Ned Yost. Numbers were not his thing, okay?
Yeah.
He got by, but I'm very excited to have a manager who does pay attention to these kinds of numbers.
Well, maybe the contact play would work a little bit better. Hear me out. If Vance Wilson understood the numbers, okay? Learn some numbers, Vance. I see the glasses. I know you can read.
And last night's was frustrating because that ball looked destined to go over the pitcher's head. If that ball gets over the pitcher's head, Frazier scores. No
Easily.
problem.
Yeah.
And,
no
and
problem.
he leaped up and it was Gossman, I think. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
What you going to do?
Yep. Nothing too much you can do in that situation. Just chalk it up and you keep moving. Hope you go get it back the next time.
Yep.
No games were won by being overly cautious on the base paths.
Nope. And no games were won with toot blends either. But this is not a toot blend. This is part of a plan, an intentional decision to say, well, let's see what happens. Hey, it was good enough for the 2015 World Series.
True. All right, man. Hey, listen, things are, I would say if we were recording this and the Royals were on a 4-game losing streak that they could have very well been on after last night's lucky win. I think I'd be feeling a lot different about this team, but I'm feeling okay about them. You shrug your shoulders and you keep it moving.
You know, 2015 team lost some games, buddy. They lost some games. They had some 3-game losing streaks. You know what this team has? Still has not been swept.
Yep.
They're well on their way to finishing April without being swept, and with 2 sweeps to their name.
Woo!
They're on the pace. I'm gonna reference this all the time. Suff 76's article on Royals Review. They're on that pace, buddy. They're on their way to that 90-game mark. That 90 games is going to win the division. Okay,
it is.
And that's all it's going to take, and they're on their way for that. I mean, even if they just played at the pace they're at now, I think I did the math on it earlier. 91 wins. So,
man,
they're on that pace. They're ready to go. They're doing what they need to do. And last night's win was a little lucky, but they've had a couple of unlucky losses too. So this is the baseball bounces weird sometimes.
That it does. Well, hey, what do you say we get to our Q&A responses and we'll go ahead and get some reviews in, huh?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so on the last full-length episode, we asked y'all, what is one player you think needs more time and another you think needs to be demoted now? I say demoted, but I think a lot of the responses don't care about MLB or MILB options remaining. You just want this guy off the team. Nash fan Sam says, make up a phantom injury for Will Smith for a while and give Garcia more time. That just puts it very succinctly about how we all feel.
I mean, that's pretty much what I was saying Sunday.
That's true. Corey Michael says, give Garcia the rest of the homestand to correct course. I think that's a fair kind of timeline right now. And we're seeing, a good portion of that. So we'll see how it ends up. Will Smith got to go. That was it. William Cole says, give Garcia more time because we do know the potential is there and the athleticism is crazy. Maybe the number one spot in the lineup is a bad spot for him. It's time to move on from the Will Smith experiment.
I'm sensing a pattern here, Jacob.
There really is this is so strange. This is odd. Steve says, I think pretty easy. Give more time to Garcia, and I think Isbell needs to get back to where he was in the early spring. Looks like old habits of pulling off the ball with his head.
It does. He looked. I defended him earlier this year, saying he was hitting the ball well. He was just hitting into outs. He stopped hitting the ball well. He's reverting to old habits. Does sound like that would explain it. I'll have to keep an eye on his head and see what he's doing with it when he's at the plate.
Yeah, good catch there, Steve. Now we're going to keep an eye on that during the games. Aaron Bailey says, give Garcia time, but Will Smith may be a problem. Aaron, be decisive, my friend. Will Smith is a problem, okay? I'll correct that for you. Will Smith is a problem, has a problem, and will continue to be a problem. And finally, Royal Rupert says, promote Beck Way to the big league bullpen and end the Will Smith experiment. Listen, Rupert, I love you, man or ma'am. I don't know what you are. I assume a man by Rupert. And judging by our 92% male listenership, but Beck Way is not ready for the big league bullpen. Ain't quite there.
I want to go back to that 92% male listenership, Jacob. Where are the women at? We're very funny. Humor is very attractive. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't separate the attractiveness by gender like that. But come on, we need some more diversity up in here. Get some
come on.
Get your wives, get your girlfriends, get your sisters, get your mothers, whoever. Get your best friend. Let's go.
Get them on the podcast. Come on. Well, I mean, maybe we should have some more female guests, I guess, Yeah. It's kind of been a while. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge to the guy who schedules all of our interviews. Come on. I know you're listening out there. You need to get on it. Jeremy, let's go ahead. What'd you say? Ball. He is. Well, and sorry, before we get to reviews, I gotta talk about this, man.
All right, let's talk about it.
The producer for this show, I will leave him unnamed, but
his name rhymes with Makeup Gilham.
Yes. It does. No relation, of course. The producer keeps on letting this guy call into the show.
What?
During my Royals recaps. Yeah. Have you heard this?
Yeah, I did catch last night. It kind of caught you by surprise, huh?
Yeah, it did. And I don't know where the guy's from. I don't know nothing about the guy. Okay. Phone number shows up as like 6 stars. Okay. That's it. Yeah, I know, right?
6 stars?
6 stars.
It's not a phone number. What is that?
I know. I'm more confused, Jeremy. Doesn't make any sense.
Right number of characters. What is happening?
But Ginger 620 was kind enough to comment on it and says, it's an interesting game if Buck Strickland of Strickland Propane is calling to share his thoughts on your show.
Is that who it is?
I think so. I looked up Buck Strickland with a with an asterisk afterwards. Maybe there's something there.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think it's Buck Strickland. I think that's who it is. Do you want me to?
Buck must be a huge Royals fan. And
Must
also a
be
little
a massive
creepy.
one. Yeah, I think so.
Maybe access to some CIA equipment or something. Six asterisks. What the heck, man?
I just sent you a picture of Buck in our Slack channel, and he does look like a FBI asset, so I could definitely see that. And, FBI is always on the road. They're listening to random podcasts while they're recording. How do they know?
That's a good point.
But anyways, Buck, if you're listening right now, please don't call right now. Just let us get through our reviews, and we'll keep it moving. Love you, Buck. Thank you for your support. Jeremy, on to Royals reviews, sir. Why don't you go ahead and start us off tonight?
All right, I got a couple things before I get to my review. Little housekeeping. I was on Peace, Love, and Baseball this week.
Oh, yeah.
Kelsey Bird. She's a Cardinals fan, but she's pretty cool. We had a lovely conversation kind of talking about the Royals and kind of their history and kind of my history as a fan. It was really fun. Hope you all give it a listen. I retweeted it. So it's on YouTube. It's on, the podcast places. Go check that out. Also, Marvel's Midnight Suns was added to the PlayStation Plus Premium library, or the one of those, like not the basic one, but the next tier up and then the highest tier. Both have it now. So if you have those, you have access to that game for free now. Go play it. Do yourself a favor. It's a really good game. You'll have fun. And then finally, my review this week is going to be one of my favorite TV shows when I was college age, so a long time ago now. But I watched the pilot again last night. I had my girlfriend over, and I was like, we were listening to some Cake, some short skirt and a long jacket, and that's the theme song that they chose for this TV show back in the mid-2000s. Chuck, about this guy who works on the Nerd Herd at the Buy More, and he's a computer tech guy, and he accidentally gets the Intersect computer downloaded into his brain. So after the 9/11 attacks, allegedly the CIA and the FBI were like, "Oh man, we got to get our crap together and combine all of our information," and they did it all on a single computer and encoded images, and you could just download that into someone's brain by flashing them all on a computer screen at him. And so that's what happens to Chuck, and he ends up working with the CIA and the FBI to solve crimes and to stop crimes from happening and to stop terrorism from happening, because that's what we did in the mid-2000s. It stars Zachary Levi and Yvonne Strahovski and Adam Baldwin, who don't follow him on Twitter, but I really enjoy his characters in TV shows. Adam Baldwin, of course, was Jane in Firefly, which is where I first learned about him, though I then later realized he was also in one of my top 10 movies of all time, Independence Day. So that's a lot of reviews for you all at once. But Chuck is over there on Amazon Prime. You can check that out if you're up for it. It's a goofy little action comedy kind of thing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. Katie's gotten me on it a couple of times now.
There you go.
She eventually wore me down and got me to watch Psych, so I think she's also going to end up doing the same with Chuck. Speaking of watching things, what I do want to talk about is I want to talk about this new Fallout show on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime?
Yes, it's on Amazon Prime.
I did not realize. I had no idea where it was.
Well, and that is that I would say that's a part of the quote unquote problem, but it's really not. So if y'all don't know, Fallout is a video game franchise that is very popular, set in a post-apocalyptic world, and there are several different adventures, different storylines in that same franchise. There's a lot of ways you can go when you have the whole world to work with, recovering from a nuclear attack. So all in all, Katie and I, we're only about 2 episodes in. Both of us went in to this show not knowing a whole lot. She knew nothing. I knew that Fallout was a popular video game, and I picked up, like, once upon a time, Fallout New Vegas, which is one of the entries into the video game. I
Everyone
picked that
tells
up.
me it's the best one.
What'd you say?
Everyone tells me that's the best one. I haven't played it.
Yeah, that's why I started off with that one. But I don't know too much about it. We're watching this. It's a very enjoyable story so far. The plot is clear. We're not jumping around yet. The investment that they put into this show, though, is apparent. Okay, we saw it with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, I think, on Disney, where they could use CGI. They did. They used it excessively. This is the complete opposite of that. So there are large mechanical metal suits that some of them wear around.
Right.
And I would be accustomed and I wouldn't be surprised if CGI is the primary component of that. It's either some of the best CGI work out there that I've seen, or I believe that this is real stuff. I think it is some sort of suit probably that they touch up later on in the editing process, but it looks good. The set designs are great. Story's good. The cinematography is really good. It's a very good streaming show. Okay. This deserves to be on like in a theater so far. And I'm just enjoying it so far. So please go check out Fallout on Amazon Prime if you are looking for a new show. Jeremy, anything else before we get on out of here, man? All right. Well, hey, listen, you are unfortunately, y'all are going to be seeing a lot of Kansas City football stuff on my social media feeds this weekend. It is the NFL draft. Yes. So,
all right. I won't ask you who you're going to pick, who you'd pick. Here's what I will ask you: trade up, stay, or trade back? Where do you want to go?
Trade down.
Trade back. All right. Trade down. Get more picks. All right.
Yeah. Who are you?
Man, I've been led to dream about Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's his name. Yeah. And if they could trade up and get him, I would like that. I think that would be fun.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, probably trade back. Sounds like anyone who's still there at 32 can be had early in the second round, and then you can get more picks. And I like what Brett Veach does when he has more picks.
Yes, he usually does very good things. So we'll see how it all lays out after this weekend. But if you want to follow along with both of us on social media, our X links are in the podcast description below. Plus, you can follow the podcast on X at Royal Rundown Pod. But first and foremost, the most important thing you can follow on social media is Royals Review. Follow them on X, on Facebook, on Threads. You can just go to the .com. That's where all the good juicy stuff is. All right, go get your good Royals Review meal every morning with the Royals rumblings. I wonder if the Kansas City Royals have like an internal Royals rumblings. Like that's how they saw the contact play article. Someone in communications just sends out, "Hey, these folks talked about the Royals today."
If he's anything like us, Jake probably just knows where the websites are and checks them on a regular basis.
That's true. So if Royals Review is good enough for Jake Eisenberg, it's good enough for y'all out there. So go check them out and support the great work that's going on over there. But once again, I am Jake Milham. He is Jeremy Greco. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next time, go Royals!